Hi, welcome to the Creative Influencer Show, and my name is Melvyn. And today's episode, we're going to be talking about the three fatal failures facing entrepreneurs, part two. Hi, and welcome to the Creative Influencers Show. This is episode 003, and this is a follow up from last week's episode 002, where we talked about the three fatal failures facing first time entrepreneurs. And last week's episode, we talked about focusing on failing to focus. In today's episode, we're going to be talking about something a little bit more people related, and that is something that the entrepreneur must take note when they're trying to work on their business. You see, a good entrepreneur, first and foremost, is a good problem solver. And as a result of that, sometimes we can get caught up in the process of trying to resolve everything ourselves. And so in today's episode, we're going to be looking at how working with another person or persons will be able to help the entrepreneur do what they want to do. All right. Okay, and so the first one is talking about working alone. Oftentimes, sometimes we try to do everything ourselves, and when that happens, you can quickly get very overwhelmed. And in addition to that, it becomes the bottleneck. Okay, and as a result of that, the one of the main perils of that trying to do everything yourself is that you could possibly suffer from burnout. Yep, and so the solution to kind of work around that challenge is actually to see everything that you do as a process. So as you can see here in our map, we have mapped out the process of how you can create online courses, for example, and these are the 5 steps. So one of the things that I encourage you to do is to actually look at everything that you do as a process and to identify the process, map it out step by step. So for example, recording a podcast like this, there is a series of process involved. What is the first step I must take? The first step I must take is that I need to create an outline for the show, and then secondly, I need to create the visuals, whether it's using PowerPoint or using Sway, like in this instance, for instance. And then the third step is then I need to record this session, and after I record this session, I would actually extract out the audio. And once I extract out the audio, I would also go into YouTube to extract out the transcripts. And then from there, I kind of edit the transcripts, and then that becomes a blog post in my website. So this basically is the process itself. So if I've not mapped this out as a process and I'm not clear about that, what's gonna happen is it's gonna make every time I will have to go through this, and it's going to be a pain. And also, if I am going later on when I want to outsource this process to certain people, for example, I want to outsource this to a VA, I would then be able to say, okay, once I've recorded that, I will send it to the VA. The VA will do the upload, and then from the upload, after that, what is the VA supposed to do? So every step of it has already been thought through, and this kind of makes it a lot easier, not just for yourself to kind of evaluate later on if this process is the most effective and the efficient one. In addition to that, when you're gonna farm it out to a virtual assistant, for example, this is where you will be able to kind of tell the virtual assistant that these are the steps. Yeah, so instead of trying to work everything by yourself, which I've done in my past, what I do now is to map out everything I do as a process, and then from there to two benefits of it. One is that you would be able to look at this process and see how you can improve on the effectiveness and efficiency of it. And the second part is that when you're gonna outsource this to someone else, this will kind of help you a great deal. Okay, so this is the first part, trying to do everything yourself. Now, the second aspect of the failures today that we're talking about is where you work in isolation. Now, in business, and especially in this kind of business where we talk about online business, for example, the digital business, it's simply easy to kind of bury your head down and just do the work. And sometimes, if you're not conscious about it, you can go on days without even speaking or coming in touch with another human being other than the families, for example, especially if you work from home. So here is the thing. It's you could end up very lonely because the people who you kind of that you have around your family may or may not understand the kind of challenges and the kind of problems that you're going through. Um, and in my experience itself, I have, initially I was just listening to podcasts and joining online courses, webinars, and doing everything myself. I literally have no support. I mean, my family gives me the support, but not in the kind of support that you would expect or you want from an online community. There was no community. There's no mentor. And what happened was that very quickly, I get overwhelmed, and sometimes I kind of get lost in the process itself, and it can get very depressing. Yeah, so this is something that you want to take note, especially when working in isolation. So, what might be the solution to that? Now, the solution to that really is as simple as what we talked about. Sometimes it's just simply joining a community, and for some of us, it might be difficult to kind of find like-minded individuals, offline. So at least go online and see if you can join a community. What happened is after I started building my online business, I've actually enrolled in a program which gave me access to a group of like-minded individuals who are at the same time building their own online businesses. And through that, we really gave each other a lot of encouragement. We kind of help each other's out because along the way, you would run into certain challenges. And so you will want to find out from your peers and your friends online what kind of how do they kind of resolve that challenges. So that was really really useful. Yeah. Better still, if you can go out there and connect with like-minded individuals offline. So that could be some kind of a networking session, for example, or even just some meetups. Yeah. The other aspect that I kind of do quite a fair bit, but this is kind of outside the context of business, is in church. And this kind of gave me the other aspect of the emotional support that I need, because struggling on my own and trying to figure everything out, on my own isn't going to help. So sometimes it just needs some people to talk to, and for me at church, it was a good thing. Yep. For you, what kind of offline or real world networking sessions can you attend? So that's something that you want to consider. The other aspect of it is that not only you join a community and you can connect with like-minded individuals, this is where you can also gain a new perspective or different perspective of your challenge that you have, and that could sometimes lead to generation of new and interesting ideas that you have not thought of. Right? So that is the solution for that. The third aspect, third point we're going to be talking here today, it's lacking support. Um, well, quite frankly, if you're working on your own and you're doing everything by yourself, you're not going to have a support. And not having a strong support network, it's something that it can be quite depressing, because sometimes you just need someone to kind of urge you along, or someone to kind of give you some support. So not having a strong support network, for example, like some kind of accountability buddies or a mentor, that could hurt. Yeah. And so especially when you start falling behind, that's one. And the other thing is that you kind of let yourself get away with work not getting done. So what I found to be really useful, it's along the way as I'm building my online business, things start to get overwhelming. And as it started to get overwhelming, I began to cut myself some slack. And after a while, I'm so far behind that in order to get back, it would mean having to start over again. And so what I've got is I've got two. One is I've got an accountability buddy, and so she and I would actually kind of connect on a regular basis. We kind of check on each other's work. It kind of helps as well because at the same time we are also working on a project together. So she kind of make sure that I get my work done, and I kind of make sure that she get her work done as well. And number two, the thing that I did was actually to get a mentor. So as I got a mentor, I kind of meet up with a mentor online every week. So every week I have to, we have a series of tasks that I have to complete, and once the day draw near, sometimes the whole week would have gone past, and I've still not done anything on that work. But when I know that okay, tomorrow I'm gonna be meeting him and I'm gonna have to report to him, that kind of makes me wanna kick myself in the butt and really just get to work. And so the mentor does help. Yeah. So consider having either an accountability buddy, someone who you could kind of hold each other accountable, or if you can afford it, I would strongly recommend that you get a mentor. Okay, and so the solution to that really, like we mentioned, it's the accountability buddy or a mentor. But sometimes in business, you may also need a good partner. So, for example, you may say that, well, I have in my work, for example, I will need someone who is able to help me do some coding. And I can certainly figure out coding on my own, but it's going to take me time, and it's going to take me away from the work, which is creating content and creating videos like this. And so what I do really is that I kind of this is where I could leverage another person's expertise, and also along the way to kind of help the person get involved in this kind of business as well. And so this is where a partner can comes in. And so, like for example, my accountability buddy, she is also a partner with me in a project. And so this is where she brings in a different perspective of the business, and I work on the other aspect of it. So we kind of both have complementary skill sets there. All right, so that's our show for today. And so the three key things basically it's when you try to work alone or working in isolation, and when you lack support, this is where you really need to look and see how you can be in touch with other like-minded individuals where the support as well as the connection and someone to hold you accountable, or a buddy or a mentor, or even a business partner, those will certainly help. All right, and so we've come to the end of our show today. Well, the if you haven't joined the community, the Creative Influencers community, you can join it right here. So just go to melvyn.me/newsletter, and that will get you to the Creative Influencer community. All right, and so next week, we'll be talking about the next group of fatal failures made by entrepreneurs, but in the context of the business. And so that's what we're going to be talking about next week. Once again, if you have not checked out part one, which is fatal failures at the personal level, where we talk about the failure to focus, you really need to check that out. And so thank you for being part of the Creative Influencer Show. And this is Melvyn Tan signing off. Bye-bye.